Hi guys, and welcome. I am Enigmius, and this is episode 24 of the Builder's Guide to Feed the Beast. Today we're continuing construction of our automatic crafting system, our large-scale, high-precision something lights and tubes crafting system. Today, if you'll recall in the last episode, we got a tiny bit done, and today it looks like we got about the same, but we're making progress. We're actually making good progress considering how much time we're actually spending in the episodes themselves. And I just kind of wanted to go over where we're at. We're still working on the counting system, making sure that we're not taking more items into the crafting system than we're going to be able to use, because that sort of undermines the purposes of having a storage system upstairs if all of the items end up getting pulled down here into God knows what chest for what reason. So we want to make sure that the system that's counting the items into the crafting system is accurate and reliable and automatic. I think one of the things that occasionally gets overlooked is people start throwing in levers and switches and things of that nature, which are good if you just want one batch. If you just want the system to kind of go until you say stop, however many times it's going to repeat itself, then mandatory lever pulling, switch pushing, button, whatever stuff doesn't really fit with the equation. So today we're looking at a little bit of red power logic. Now you can see we've got our filter, we've got our item detector, which counts the items that are passing through it. For each item creates a redstone pulse, goes into the counter. When the counter reaches its maximum count value, let me make sure that I'm not going to break anything when I right click on this guy. In this case it's 192. When it reaches this value, it's going to this cathode here, this redstone torch head, is going to be turned off. This one will be turned on. It'll generate a redstone signal that'll come out here into this cable and around into the filter. That effectively turns the filter off so that it will no longer accept any more items through it and into that system there until such time as the counter is reset, this signal is turned off, and the filter can once again take items. So really simple in terms of what it's doing. But we want to take it that next step and say, okay, well, what happens when all of these filters have received all of the items they're going to receive? Well, it would be nice if we could reset the counter, let the filters start receiving items again, and start, taking in materials for the next batch without having to come down here and manually tell it to do so. And that's where the red power logic comes in. Up here we have an AND gate. That's what it's called. It's the AND gate. Not to be confused with the NAND gate, the AND gate. And we've seen this kind of stuff. The red power logic blocks all use the same base components, the stone cathodes, anodes, wires, wafers. It's just the configuration in the layout that sort of determines what block you end up with. So that's what we're using today, is this guy. And what you've got basically is, you can see, in addition to this signal coming out here when it's reached the maximum count value down to the filter, it's also sending it up here to this input side on the AND gate. Same thing over there, it's coming to the right side, and this guy is coming to the left side. Now, it's not quite so easy to illustrate here exactly what's happening, because I would have to have all these guys set up to create their signals. So I've set up kind of a demonstration wall over here. Here's the AND gate, the exact same configuration and layout as over there, only instead of cables connected to counters, we've just got levers. Simple enough, right? So this is its native state. When you first place it, wherever you're going to place it, this is how it shows up, with the output side away from you, and the three cathodes down the middle all lit up, and red, any kind of red alloy wire or whatever will connect to each of the three input sides. Now you can see if I turn on one of these levers, it doesn't really do much. It lights up this wire and it goes in. You can see it's receiving the signal there, but it's not doing anything with it. Do the same thing over here, not doing anything. But when we apply the third signal, the output side lights up as well. And basically the logic, the decision being made is, if this signal, or if this input and this input and this input are all on, send a signal on the output side. That's basically the full extent of how that logic works, is basically saying this and this and this, that's true. So turn the signal on, send it out that side. Now, A couple things worth noting. If you have a screwdriver, which you should by now, and you just right-click on it, it rotates around. So you can change the orientation of the output side or the input sides, whatever you want. Also, if you shift right-click, you can change how many inputs it will receive stuff from. So you can see this input is no longer connected. It's only taking the inputs from these two sides, and it's only counting those two sides in terms of, deciding whether or not this is on. So it's this and this. This one doesn't matter. It's not even connecting. So shift right-click again. Now it's the two sides here. Now it's these two, the right side and the bottom. And then we can get down to single qualifiers, which at this point you might as well just have an intersection and get rid of these guys. But we're going to talk about that momentarily. There's still a practical application for this. Now, you can cycle through all the single inputs, and then it'll go back to the three. So that's how we've got it set up over there. That's exactly how it's going to work. The maximum count comes in on this side, and then this side, and then this side. We'll create a signal on the output side that says these three filters are good to go. And then because we're going to have more filters, more counting materials into the system, we'll have more AND gates. So you can see this one here, the cable at the top is set to grab the output signal and bring it along here. Now when we extend this wall all the way down, we'll have another AND gate that will be collecting the signal from the three filters here, the three filters there, and the three filters there. So then when each group of three filters is on, then the output will be on. And you can basically extend this as far as you want to make sure that you've got a system where once all of the filters are, showing as being done receiving items, it can reset the entire system, reset all these guys back to their minimum values, let the filters grab items again, and all without having to do anything manually. Now, the reason why I've got this guy set up over here is because, like I was saying, with the single inputs, it seems kind of useless. Well, there's a reason why it's called the gate. And when you think of a gate, you think of something that stops you from going, across a particular boundary. And that's exactly what these guys do. And again, I'm going to kind of make sure I'm not holding anything. You can see, I basically replaced the AND gate with more red alloy wire to create an intersection. Now you turn this on, obviously immediately we can see that this is completely not usable for the purpose that we've set it aside over here, because we turn on one signal and it's already generating the output signal for one. That's, not gathering information the way we wanted it to, but also we turn on this signal and it's also sending the signal down this way, would effectively turn these filters off regardless of how many items they had received so far. So completely useless, but having the gate so that, it basically receives a signal here. Actually, we'll just make it super clear, right? It receives a signal here and it stops here. It doesn't flow out there. It doesn't flow out to either side. Even if it is just a single signal, we're managing where the signal is going using the logic gates. Now, like I say, it might be a little bit more clear with an OR gate. And if we end up using an OR gate in here somewhere, I'll definitely demonstrate that. But for the time being, this is pretty straightforward. I mean, once you get a handle on what we're talking about when we say an AND gate, and just basically gathering these three signals and deciding if all three are on, then create one there. Really, really straightforward stuff. So we're just about done with the counting. And like I say, I think all that we really need to do to finish the counting side of things off is to get all of the rest of the filters and the counting in place all the way down the line. And then we can get the AND gates in, get it all set up so that we can send the signal back to the counters to reset them back to their minimum values, which will turn off the signals that they're sending here. The filters will work again. Things are good and happy. Now on the other side here, I've actually got hardly anything done, but this is sort of a key point. Now I gave a certain amount of thought and consideration to exactly how I want it to work on the backside here. Now there was a part of me that wanted to try using pneumatic tubes with project tables. To be honest, I've never actually tried that. I've read somewhere that it works. You can use pneumatic tubes to extract items out of project tables. As long as it's got materials, it'll keep making stuff. The trouble with that is you need to have each particular material for each item you want to make in each particular project table. Now you might wonder, what's the big deal? Well, when you've got a system that is going to be making, for example, advanced alloy out of mixed metal ingots, sending things around, and then having multiple different items within that, using the advanced alloy, and then having those multiple items used elsewhere and things of that nature. There's so much crossover that if you need to start dividing and subdividing everything into its own specific project table, it gets to be the easiest way to put it is the convenience of using the project table in the tubes is outweighed by the hassle of setting up each individual project table and routing the materials so that each project table gets enough of a certain value. By using the auto crafting tables that we've got here, we have to use buildcraft pipes, buildcraft pipes to extract the crafted materials, which I'm not a fan of, but we can send a bunch of items into one chest, and then each auto crafting table will take what it needs. So we don't need to route materials specifically to each crafting table. We just say, okay, well, these crafting tables here are both going to be doing stuff with coal dust, so we're going to send the coal dust to this chest, and they'll fight over it, and everything will get made the way it needs to get made. That's sort of the whole idea behind the system, is having that, making the decision. What do we want to do? Do we want to go this simplified, streamlined route, even though it requires us to use blocks that we don't necessarily like? Or do we want to go for the blocks that we like that requires a much more complex and convoluted system to feed them? So I'm going for the pipes and simplicity over tubes and convoluted stuff. We'll get a little bit more of that. If not the next episode, then the episode after. I think what I'm going to be working on is getting this filled out for all of the different materials that'll go into the solar panel, so we can see how that looks. We'll be able to see how the circuitry comes together for the AND gates and all that other nonsense. And then when probably the episode after is we can put everything together, start getting the auto crafting tables to work. And you might be surprised at how quickly this actually does come together. We started off slow with little wee tiny bits and pieces coming together here and there. And then before you know it, we'll be completely done. So I'm going to stop now because we're talking red power logic, and that kind of gets a little bit heavy, like so many other things that we've been talking about. I don't want to get anyone all crazy thinking that it's beyond them to try this out. Give you a chance to mess around, play around, do something like this, and mess around with it and have fun, where you don't have to worry about blowing up your world because you had it all connected to stuff that was pulling this and shooting that there and all that other stuff. Just do something simple, lay it out, see what you can manage, and if you like it, then you can put it into your project. If it's not working for you, then you can come up with something else. So that's it. That's the red power logic component today. I hope it was helpful. If it has been helpful, you want to be notified when I put the next episode on my channel. The easiest way to do that is to subscribe. And also, apparently liking and favoriting videos helps them go higher on the search page for other people to find them. So if you want to help people see my videos, you can do that as well. If you don't want to do that, that's fine too. So I will be working on the next episode as soon as I possibly can. Thanks for watching, and take care.